directory and then go into it and then run this npm init, which you'll see what happens with that. So go back to the bash tab, make a project directory, project one, cdpr, oops. And then we'll do npm init, and I'll do without the -y option, but if you do it like that, it'll just ask you a bunch of questions. Okay, yeah,
Okay,
the name.
you're building the package.json right now?
Exactly, right. That's
Okay.
what this does for us automatically. So just ask us questions. You just hit enter it to accept all the defaults. If you do npm -y, it'll just skip all the asking you all these questions.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Back into the lesson. Okay, I'm going to create a public dir to. So we're going to hold our index.html file in a directory called public. So I just copy that and go back to the bash tab. Dir public cd public touch index dot. Oops. And C9. C9 open. I'll just paste that in there. Standard HTML boilerplate. Save that. And let's see, back to the lesson. Okay, I'm going to install a web server called HTTPster. And I'm also going to create a script inside of package.json to make it easy to run. So back to the bash tab. Actually, I'll go back up out of the public directory. npm install -- save dev httpster. The save dev means it'll update our package.json file to reflect. So we can see at the bottom of package.json there's a dev dependencies entry for the object. It just says what version of HTTPster we installed.
Yeah, what is HTTPster?
It's a small lightweight web server. In fact, we'll go ahead and run it right now.
Okay.
It
That's
installs
what I
everything.
thought it was.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, it's just an easy way to serve up your files. So we don't have this in the. Anything you install will be in Node modules. That's what stores all the stuff you install. And to run it, you can just it has a shortcut, a symlink inside of .bin, and so I can run. And then I have to tell HTTPster the port. Normally, it's going to run on a default port, but C9, when you run a web server in C9, it wants you to use the port that they store in this environment variable called $port. So if I run that now, it is running. And if you go back to the lesson here.
Can you, is it possible, not you specifically, but can all this be put in a script?
Yeah, you sure could. Yeah,
Sort of like a batch file, the old DOS?
Yeah, on Unix it would be a shell script. But
right,
yeah, you sure can.
Okay.
In fact, actually what the package.json for is actually does almost all that already. I was just breaking it down step by step.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but I'll demonstrate how the package.json file that's why I tell it to save this stuff, because it remembers all the dependencies we installed, and it won't do the scripts part for us, but I want to show you down here in line 54, whenever you're in C9 and you run your web server, when you want to view the output, you use a URL that has workspace name / username. So in our case, it's going to be, I'll show you one sec here. It's going to be that URL here with a public on the end. But since we have our index.html file in the public directory, so if you copy that and put that in a separate bash tab, a separate browser tab, you can just kind of view what we have, just our little HTML file.
So I can copy that link to a browser, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and put it in a whole separate bash tab. We can, of course, C9 let us view this right here in C9, but then it takes up too much space on the.
Right.
That's
Okay.
why. Yes. And let's see here.
Okay, and if there was something, a process running where it says not authorized to access this private project.
Oh, really? Okay, let me. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, I'm sorry. That is the one that I was developing this on. That was a separate workspace. Let me.
Oh,
To get
okay.
the URL, yeah. Easiest way to get the URL is to click on preview at the top and do preview running application.
Right.
Yeah, and then you can grab the URL from that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't like displaying it there because it takes up too much space. So actually, that's what we want to.
Ah, okay. It didn't look. It doesn't look quite the way it does in the.
Oops. Uh, does it just say loading?
Yeah, when I go to public,
All right. Yeah, that's
I
that's
get
what it
the.
should be saying now.
Okay, I get the rest directory listings when
Oh, put the slash public at the end of the
I. Oh,
URL. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's just loading.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, and then back to the lesson. Let's see here. I'm reloading here. No. Okay. Let's see what we have. Okay, so the way I used to run HTTPster, that's the long way. You have to put in that long path. So I'm going to stop the server with Control C and back to the lesson on line 35. I'm going to edit package.json. We're just going to update this script line here, line 43. So go back to the bash tab, C9 open package.json. And here where it says scripts. So this is just a JSON object notation. So I'll put in start is the key, and the value will just be HTTPster with the -P and the $ port. So rather than have to type out that whole thing there, I can save that, go back to the bash tab, and type npm start. And that starts the web server. That's what you normally do is put these kind of things you run all the time inside of scripts,
Gotcha.
inside package.json.
Right.
And package.json will also, you don't need the whole /node modules thing. It does that for you. Okay, so back to line 57 here. We're going to create a bundle.js file inside of the public/build directory. And I'm going to make this into a video as well.
Yeah, I'm recording this as we speak.
Oh, okay. Touch. Okay, so I'll go back to the bash tab, stop the web server, make a build directory off of the public directory. And we're going to create a new file in there called bundle.js.
What does touch actually mean?
It just creates a new file.
Oh.
And yeah. And, okay, and that's just going to be a JavaScript alert statement. Hello world. Save that. And back to the lesson. Got to update the HTML file to use that. Basically, it's going to take this line here and put it in there. So back to the bash tab, C9 open public index. Put that in there. Save that, and then we can go back to and view the page in the browser. Oops, won't work just yet. I got to restart the web server. I'm gonna leave the web server open in this bash tab actually. So npm start here, create a new bash tab. I usually keep my bash tabs over to the left so I can just quickly switch to them with Control 1 or Control 2. So in this new bash tab, if you want to go in there, the one I'm in now.
I'm there.
Okay, and let's see, where was I? On the lesson. Okay, so updated. Oh yeah, if you okay, so now in the first bash tab, I restarted the server. So if you go back to the web page now, we can see that it is calling that a JavaScript file we just added, bundle.js, and doing the hello world alert.
Right, I got an alert box that says hello world.
Okay, perfect. Back to the lesson. Okay, so now I'm going to create a main source directory and a main.js file. This is kind of one of the standard, I'm following the standard file structure for React apps. So back to the second bash tab, and I'm going to go back to our project directory, make a source directory. Touch src/main.js c9 open src/ oops, and I'll say hello webpack from that one. Okay. Oops. Okay, save that. Back to the lesson. Okay, now I'm going to install something called Webpack. Well, Webpack does a few things. It's it's like the most popular build tool now used for JavaScript front end development. So I'm going to install it and go back to the second bash tab. We're running with this really long command here. But what Webpack does is it'll take your entry file, in this case our main.js, and then it'll output a new file wherever you tell it to. It tells it to put it in our bundle file basically in public/build.
Right, in the build directory name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bundle.js. So back to the second bash tab, just paste in that command. And so it tells us that I did build it. It'll give us an error if there's any, tell us if there's any errors. Of course, what that's doing is not that impressive, but if we go back to our web page, we'll see that now it's saying hello Webpack. So it did actually update the bundle.js file. And back to our lesson. Okay, so now instead of having to type that, you can create a webpack.js file instead. That'll do all that for us. So I'm going to copy that, go back to the second bash tab. Let me see if I can open this like this without having to do the touch first. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this code here. Okay, so the entry, what's this? You start from that file, and it just tells it to do everything just told on that command line. Save that.
Well, you did a copy and paste, right, just now?
Yeah, I just pasted it. Yeah.
Pasted it where?
Oh, into webpack.config.js. I have it open. If you go into the current file I'm in.
Yeah, no, I'm in Webpack config and I didn't see it paste.
Oh, it might be the way I did it. Might have. Yeah, C9's weird. If you have say go into active file now to go into my active file, maybe it'll refresh. If I'm in a file but I haven't saved it yet, C9 kind of doesn't want to show it to you.
Got it.
Okay, cool. All right. So so now back to the lesson. Now I can just run Webpack without that same Webpack command, but without all those options. So I go to the second bash tab, run it. Oh, but I was going to change the. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was going to change the main.js to say Webpack config just so we can see that it really updated, but we don't have to do that.
Okay.
So now on line 119 in that lesson. Okay, so so the same thing we did for running HTTP store by creating a script. We'll update package.json here on line 136. Add a new script, a build script in package.json. So that's for me it's control 5 to get into the package.json file again. Edit that. Okay, I think you're in here now, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, yeah.
I was there.
In package.json.
Yeah, there I am.
Okay, yeah. I just added the build script, and back to the lesson. Now we can do the same thing we did before, just by typing npm run build at the bash tab. And if I had modified main.js, we would have seen the new version inside the browser. Okay, now I'm going to next thing, line 149. This is about JavaScript modules. Another thing Webpack does, which is huge, is in JavaScript in the browser. A lot of times, of course, you want to break up your file, your code into multiple files. But you have to list each one of those files out inside the script tags in the HTML. One script tag per file, JavaScript file, and they have to be in the right order to take into account dependencies. So if one file depends on stuff in the other file, the file that depends on the other file has to come after the file it depends on.
Right. Got it.
And there's also other JavaScript type problems with that related to global variables and things like that. So in the browser doesn't understand modules, but Node does, and so here I'm going to create a new JavaScript file in the source called hello.js. Go to the back to the second bash tab. Touch source slash hello.js. C9 open and paste that code in there. So just a function, and I export it though. I say export that way other JavaScript files can use that only that particular export. You can have so the your module is kind of like an object, and since it has both public and private functions and data, and the only thing that's public is what you export out with the export statement. So I'm going to save that, and then back to the lesson. Now I'm going to modify main.js to use that module. So go back into main.js now, and going to update it to, so in order to use the module, I say require, and I give it the path of the path of the module.
File. Okay, right.
And I can leave off the JS, and then I just use that function here. Let's save that, and go back to bash tab 2. Now I'm going to run Webpack again. If I don't run the build again, the bundle.js won't be updated with this new code.
Got it. Okay.
In fact, you can see the output tells me that's using both main and hello.js now. So what it does is it starts with the entry file. It sees what it requires, and it includes that. And if that one requires some stuff, it'll include those. So it just goes through the dependency tree step by step, grabs everything that's being used, and bundles it up into one file. That's what I call it, the bundle.js.
Got it.
And it also minify it and obfuscate it too if you want. Okay, so if we do go into the browser now.
Yep. Hello Webpack modules.
All right. Yep. Let's see here. Okay, cool. I'm back to the lesson. Okay, so that's what Webpack does for us. Okay, now go ahead and install React. you can see how easy NPM makes it to install software. And
Right.
also, a nice thing is that on your own machine, if you do this on your own machine, it takes quite a while. But on C9, I think the combination of the fact that it's on the internet backbone and it has a fast processor means these things, yeah, these things are almost instantaneous to install a lot of the software. But on your own machine, that might have taken a minute or so. So
Yeah,
that's another handy
these are
thing about
these are
C9.
these are probably Docker images.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, yeah, I think so. When you create a new workspace, sometimes it does say creating container.
So it inherits everything. It's containers are made. I mean, Docker images. They're great.
You know, that's something. That's one you can definitely teach me. You're saying you can teach me some stuff. I definitely want to learn all that AWS and Docker stuff. That's really hot stuff right now and very useful to know.
Yeah, I'm not an expert by any means. I've just used it. As far as Docker goes, I'm not an expert in that
Mhm.
in any way. I went through a tutorial where
Uh-huh.
I built a Docker image, created a repo, and it was really cool because what you would do is you would alter the code, commit it to the repo on GitHub. Then a couple
Oh,
of other processes would take hold of it, run it through test cases, prepare a Docker image, and then launch an AWS instance based on the Docker image.
wow, that is very
I
cool.
mean, it was like, wow.
Oh, I think that's there's that new field called DevOps. I think that's kind of what they do is all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oh, okay. So now we have to install. We're gonna actually create a React component inside of main.js. So let's see here.
So we go back to main.js.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of what's in there and put this in here. So here again using modules. So when I installed React and React DOM, it created modules for that. But because I installed, when you're using your own modules, you use a file path to re, to require the module. But when you're using an installed module, you just use the name of the module. So I'm getting putting the React and React DOM objects inside these variables, and then I create an H1 element here with the, and then React DOM.render, it'll take that component we created, and it's like a custom HTML component, and it'll insert it into your Java into your HTML at the place you tell it. In this case, inside of that div, I had an HTML that said ID equals React app. I'll save that. If we go back into our index.html file, we can see that on line 9. Oh no, line 8. Sorry, line 9 is that's the div there with the ID of React app. So it's going to replace loading ... with our React component.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is a really cool thing that React does for us. Before React, before Angular, you do all this stuff in jQuery, of course, and you would insert that yourself. But React really makes it easy. So okay, so now if we go back and run bash tab 2, run the build script again. Okay, and then go back to the browser. We can see that
Yep. Hello,
it's
React.
updated. Okay, back to the lesson here. Okay, so JSX is there online. What we did that time, we used React.create element to create an H1 element. So that's just like pure. Basically, one thing React does, it turns pure JavaScript into HTML, which is handy. But the even better way to do it is to use what's called JSX. So here on line 189, we're going to update main.js to use this now. So I'm going to change this. The only difference is you can basically put HTML inside of your JavaScript code. See, normally this would cause a big syntax error because this H1 doesn't mean anything to JavaScript. I have to at least put it in quotes. But what JSX does allows you to just mix JavaScript code and HTML code together, which is really handy when you're creating custom components. So you can mix logic and a markup together.
Okay.
So I'm going to save this. go back to the second bash tab and run the build again. This time it blows up because JavaScript doesn't, that's not valid JavaScript. So back to the lesson. Now we're going to install what's called Babel. The point of Babel is it's what they call a JavaScript transpiler. It transpiles either advanced JavaScript, ECMAScript 6, which is also called ECMAS ES 2015, or but it also will transpile JSX into JavaScript. So, so I'm going to install these Babel modules here, and that Babel preset React is the one that lets a Babel translate React JSX into JavaScript. So go to second bash tab and install that. Okay, and then go back to the lesson and grab this other line here. This echo statement is just going to create our Babel config file called .babelrc. I'm just using it's just a shorthand for. I do that instead of editing it. It'll just pop that line right into that file. So go to back to the second bash tab, run that. If I do a cat.b tab, .b tab, I can see the contents of BabelRC that it did put that in there for me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a Unix shorthand. Okay, and then okay, now I'm going to modify webpack.config. I'm going to add this module section here, line 217 through. It's just another. I also add this path thing. Like on line 212, I was able to give just a plain old path in a string. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm inside the lesson. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I'm going to update webpack.config here on line 206 to have this. I'm going to add this new path thing here at the top, 209, and I'm using that down on 220 to build a path. I think, but on line 212, I didn't have to do that, and the difference is that I think for the loader here, it wants an absolute file path. So using path.resolve with the underscore dir name will give me a absolute path. So I'm going to copy that and update webpack.config with that. Okay. And the part, so what the modules do, we already had it started with the main.js and building up the bundle.js from that and combining all the modules and stuff, all the dependencies. What this part does is you have a bunch of different loaders, and it'll run all the different files you tell it to through these loaders. So it's going to run our main.js file through the Babel loader, and it's going to transform that JSX code into JavaScript. And so here on line 12, we're telling it which files to include, which directories. And on line 13, we have a regular expression telling it's only files that end with .js or .jsx. And then the 14 tells it which program to use to run that code through. So now if we go back to the second bash tab and run npm build again, it shouldn't have any errors this time. Now it understands the JSX. And if we go to the browser, I think I updated the.
Yep.
It should say React JSX or something like that now.
Yeah, hello React JSX.
Yep. Okay. So this is going faster than I thought.
And that's
oh,
it.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
You went through. Go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. There's a couple. There's some more stuff I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to put in here. So a couple things. One, it's a pain to keep running Webpack all the time. So what we do is we're going to create, go into package.json and add another script here. You can run Webpack in what's called watch mode. I think it's a -w. So I'm in package.json, updating the script section, and I want to run Webpack in watch mode. You can also see how I'd updated package.json to reflect all this other stuff I install Babel Core, Babel Loader, all that stuff.
Where do I see that?
Inside of package.json.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it not, it
Right.
got changed. Every time we did that install, it changed it. And but the new line is line 8 to run Webpack in watch mode. So if I go back to the Bash tab and run npm run, what was it, build dash w, no, colon w is what I called it. So it runs it. Okay, that's the wrong option. I think it's dash dash watch. I think that's what I did wrong. So it's back inside package.json's dash dash watch. And back to the Bash tab, try it again. Okay, what isn't it like? What did I do wrong? Well, missing script, okay. Oh, I did call it dash W. I wanted dot colon W. That's the colon W is the convention. Okay, back to the second Bash tab, run it again. And there we go. Okay, so, okay, now Webpack's in watch mode. Now, every time, if I make a change to main.js, it'll automatically create a new, if I put 3 exclamation points on there in main.js and save it, and jump back to the Bash tab, and you'll see it did run, it ran the build again already. It took like a split second, so 127 milliseconds it said it took. So, so hopefully that running in a different Bash tab, it'll keep updating bundle.js as we're developing, which is pretty handy.
So
And,
whenever, okay,
uh,
I got you. Whenever you're developing and you make a change to the file,
And then there's what comes with Webpack also is something called the Webpack Dev Server, and you run that, it'll automatically run the build for you, and what it'll also do is it'll actually refresh your browser for you automatically every time your code changes. And what you can do is you can have your editor and your browser side by side, and as you're every time you save your code, Webpack will automatically run and rebuild bundle.js, and then Webpack will also automatically refresh your browser, which is pretty amazing. Even if it's like a whole different, even if it's not like in C9, if it's like a whole different program, Webpack, if you run this on your desktop, on your laptop, and you're running a different editor, like if you're running the Microsoft editor, and you have, let's say, either IE or
right?
Chrome or Firefox running, it doesn't matter. Just after you pull up that URL in that browser, it has some kind of WebSocket connection behind the scenes, and every time Webpack rebuilds the bundle.js, it says something, sends something to that browser with the WebSocket, and that causes the browser to refresh the page for you automatically.
I'll have to look
It gives-
into that.
Yeah, it gives this nice quick feedback loop on your coding. It's pretty cool. You can change stuff in your HTML file, you can change CSS code, whatever, and you see it instantly change on the browser next to your editor,
Right.
which is yeah.
Well, it's a big
really-
problem, when I was trying to do stuff, because I couldn't see anything I was doing in the browser because I couldn't do these builds or rebuilds.
All right.
So when I'm following these tutorials, at some point I can't continue because they're using a Mac, they're running HTTP stir, and they just get beyond me so fast that I just, because I can't use Atom to do it, or NetBeans, or Eclipse, or IntelliJ.
All right.
You
Yeah.
know, it really is a challenge. So now that I know I can do it with this will be easier.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much everything I did should run on your machine, your Windows or Unix machine, or or Mac or whatever. Yeah, you just have to install Node. You just install it like any other program, and once you have Node and npm installed, and the npm comes with it. The first part I did, I used npm to install